on today's edition of Wedding Market Chat, Los Angeles Weddings, with special guests Renee Strauss from the Brides of Beverly Hills, Kevin Lee from LA Premier, Harmony Walton from the Bridal Bar, John Goolsby from Godfather Films, Judith Feldman from the Luxe Hotel. This Wedding Market Chat is sponsored by Luxe Hotel, the Wedding and Event Institute, House Entertainment, Emma and Josh, and Beverly Hills Luxury Motors. Send your questions and follow the Wedding Market Chat every Wednesday on Twitter. Check out the Wedding Market on the web at weddingmarketnews.com.
I grew up in Chicago in a family that were gourmet caterers, so I was used to commercial kitchens and lots of hustle bustle, but I personally couldn't take the kitchen, so I was one of those that couldn't stand the heat and had to get out. But the weddings that my mom and dad did were amazing, and I fell in love.
Well, I used to be an astronaut, an international male model, and I just got a little too old. And everybody knows that weddings are easy money, so that's what I did. I was a film producer for Vaughn's Grocery Company. I did training films, how to bag groceries, how to mop floors. I won a national award for my floor mopping video. Back in 1986, I videotaped a wedding for the first time, and I showed it to the client, and my bride was so happy she cried. And I need the paycheck, I like the paycheck, but there's another reward in addition to the money when you do weddings. So that's how I got into it.
I got into it sort of by trial and error. I loved the wedding industry, and I knew I wanted to be in it. In college, I interned for a wedding planner. I took a wedding planning extension class and found out I hated it, and I was terrible at it. So through some trial and error, I figured out how to design a business that kind of leaned on my skill set and my strengths, and allowed me to do what I love, which was weddings, but without that creative bone that teaches me to do design like Kevin or to plan like so many of you. So that's how I did it.
As a young girl, I always wanted to be in the hotel industry. And wanting to be in the hotel industry, I went into the hotel business. I went to hotel school. And once I was in the hotel, I decided to do events. And the weddings really charmed me. And I love dealing with clients and brides. And so that's how I got into the wedding industry.
Now, let's talk a little bit about what makes weddings in LA unique, especially if a couple is coming in for a destination wedding.
Well, there's nothing like living in Southern California, so you know what's like. And to me, Southern California is always, the weather has been so great, especially Los Angeles. It's just weather is just so fabulous. Look at this, is how beautiful it is. At the same time, Hollywood, we just had the Oscars. So, it's always something going on in Hollywood, and it's just like fabulous city to live in and fabulous city to celebrate. So that's why I live in Los Angeles, and it's, to me, best spot to have any celebrations.
Los Angeles is unique because not only can you have a beach-themed wedding, you can do a mountainous hillside wedding, you can do a wedding at one of the iconic landmarks here in the city, and there's so much to offer in one place, and it's not a difficult destination to come to. So I think Los Angeles is one of the most perfect spots there is.
I've been fortunate enough to film in 27 different states and 15 countries, some really beautiful locations that are just fabulous. But there's only one place that has it all. It has the ocean, has the luxury of Rodeo Drive, go to the Hollywood stars' homes and get your picture with Mickey. There's just no place else that you can do everything for everybody who wants to come to your wedding.
I think what makes LA so unique is the people in our industry. We are blessed to have Hollywood right here, and so many of us had started in that industry and took that really creative arm of this city and applied it to the wedding business. And I think we're really fortunate to have so many awesome people in this town to help couples.
I think LA is unique because as the entertainment capital of the world, there's so much versatility in the industry. There's so many different things you can do as a bride. And as your guests coming to a wedding or any event in this city, there's so much for them to do. And that's what makes LA stand out.
said that Hollywood and LA is sort of a bucket list item, so it gets your guests to town for the wedding. But we also have such a big variety of hotel properties, different price points, different, from urban to beach settings. And you really have every option under the sun for your guests in terms of how much they're going to spend and what kind of experience they're going to have.
I think if guests are coming to LA, they're going to want to do more than just go to the wedding. They're going to want to travel, and within a day they could be at the beach, they could be at the mountains, they could be at the desert. There's so much to do. They could even travel to Vegas, so it gives them a lot of options besides just coming to the wedding.
Now let's talk about the Luxe Hotel and what you have to offer as far as weddings here.
Well, this property, Luxe Hotel Rodeo Drive, is the only hotel on Rodeo Drive. The only restaurant on Rodeo Drive, the only hotel on Rodeo Drive, the only place where you could actually have a wedding on Rodeo Drive. This rooftop offers lots of versatility. You can have your ceremony, you can have your reception here. There's so much to do for your guests, and they could even stay with us. The other Luxe property is the Sunset property, where we also offer the Luxe Hotel Sunset Boulevard offers weddings up to 300 people as well, with indoor and outdoor options.
How many different locations do you have here, specifically at the hotel, that they could have?
At our Rodeo Drive, we have 2 rooftops. We have the Beverly rooftop and the Rodeo Drive rooftop. So if you want to have a little bit of fun, you could have a ceremony on one rooftop and your reception on the other rooftop, and have your guests go between one and the other. It's a wonderful thing to have your guests look over the rooftop and see all of Beverly Hills, all of Rodeo Drive, and all of the beautiful things that LA has to offer right here in Beverly Hills.
Now let's talk about some of the unique venues that you have here in LA.
As we all said, what is the song? From the mountains to the prairies. We can go all over the place here. We can go to the Annenberg Beach House in Santa Monica, to the Huntington Library in Pasadena, there's so many amazing places. There are gorgeous mansions that are available. Greystone right here in Beverly Hills. There's really a plethora of opportunity that is really unique to our town.
How about the Oscars and Emmys and Grammys? Everything's happening in Los Angeles. There are all the museums available. You can go and check it out. So just have to relate to Hollywood. This is, to me, the city to come in.
Something kind of unique to the LA area are the 2 presidential libraries. You can have your reception in a replica of the East Room or right underneath Air Force One. That's pretty unique and awesome too.
I like iconic LA wedding venues like the Ebell, one with a lot of history. Even something like Sony Studios, where Wolfgang Puck is out of. You get that flavor of Hollywood history, or even Regent Beverly Wilshire, just across the street, sorry. But you get that fun, nostalgic, Pretty Woman era feeling to your wedding.
Well, I have to talk about our Luxe Hotel Sunset Boulevard, our sister property to Rodeo Drive, where right below the Getty we offer beautiful, beautiful location with outdoor weddings, indoor ceremonies, indoor weddings, whatever you like. We could do up to 300 people at our Luxe Hotel Sunset Boulevard.
What would you suggest as far as brides? How far in advance should they be planning a wedding in LA? Are there specific venues that maybe they need to allow for more time?
I think at least about a year to short as 6 months or so. But I think probably about at least I recommend about 1 year prior to anything. Yeah.
We can do anything in the snap of the fingers. We can create things overnight. When you pull together professionals, magic happens. So we like to tell people they should have a lead time of 3 months. A year is good. More than that, you start losing your marbles because you rehash things too many times. But we are known to get the job done very quickly when we need to.
If you want to get married tomorrow in Los Angeles, you can do it. But as soon as you know you are getting married, that's when you should start making your plans and hire a bridal consultant and get it done. The longer you wait, the more compromises you have to make in selecting your venue or your vendors.
I think the 9-month mark for most couples is kind of a sweet spot, anytime between the 6 month and year. But again, too much time, and as Renee said, you lose your marbles. And you don't want to overshop. If you allow yourself extra time to overshop, you start to second guess your vendor decisions and your choices, and that only leads to more stress and less happy couples.
I've done a wedding as little as 3 months. The smaller the wedding, the less time they need. I've also have a client who's planning a wedding in 2015. So it really runs the gamut. A year is I think, the perfect time for you to start planning a wedding.
I think if you plan 3 years in ahead, you'll change the fiancé a few times before the event happens.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the price range that a wedding in LA could cost.
Sky's the limit. What can I say, you know?
Los Angeles isn't the pulse of the market, obviously. Beverly Hills certainly isn't. So I think across the nation, the average wedding's about $27,000. Here in Los Angeles, I think average is about $35,000. But Kevin and I, we work together on a lot of very high budget weddings. We've done $1 million.
Your gown costs $35,000.
Well, I mean, add it all up.
How are you going to do it?
Keep going, Kevin.
We'll go down to is Renee. I'm going to talk about the latest trends in bridal gowns, and then anybody else that might want to answer.
Trends this year. Peplums. Peplums are a bias cut piece of fabric that juts out from the waistline and just comes down about 15 to 18 inches, and it sort of circles the hip line. It was very, very popular in the days of Dynasty when that was on television. I don't see anyone in the audience that might remember the show Dynasty, but I remember it. I used to work on the set, and that was very popular and ready to wear. Ready to wear affects bridal, and so peplums are popular. Color is a very strong influence. Illusion necklines are back and they're strong. Those were brought into fashion in a big way through Vera Wang in the early 90s when she designed Nancy Kerrigan's ice skating costume. That's back and strong. And we see a lot of tulle, which is the netting fabric. So fantasy and bling, all of these things are strong trends at this point.
I'm seeing a lot of color, a lot of blush pinks, peaches, which, again, Vera set the trend for a few years back with her colored collection, but more subdued colors now that are a little bit more versatile and wearable for everyone, but lots of really fun kind of pastel springtime colors going down the runway, and people are actually translating it to their wedding.
Well, let's talk about some of the trends in flower arrangements and event design.
Well, actually, last few years, sparkles was just like everywhere. That's like, when you walk in, just dangling with the crystals and just sparkles everywhere. But I think starting this year, that look is going out a little bit, and we don't use that much crystals anymore, and it's more going back to like a classic modern. So like, modern luxury is very in now. So more than anything else, sparkles and crystals. I think modern luxury is like way to go, and Hollywood glam is very in now. So everything's about very glamorous and classic modern style. I think that's the trend right now.
Great Gatsby's coming out, I believe, in May, and that we're starting to see a huge trend towards already. That flapper era dress, I think, that's making a bit vintage, of a comeback. Yeah. But more of a sophisticated vintage, less of the mason jars and the vintage typewriters, and more of that really, like Kevin said, old Hollywood glamour. I'm also seeing a trend towards the residential, which I know we've had in years past with the vintage sofas in the fields and things like that, but really applying it more authentically to an event where you're creating a home environment in the space to make it more welcoming and inviting versus just taking a piece of furniture and placing it here or there for aesthetic reasons.
Someone on Twitter has asked what you think the hot wedding colors are this year.
I've never seen so much purple in my
That's
life. Purple is unbelievable. It used to be years ago black and white, and then it was silver, and then there were golds, and now it's very, very hot colors. But purple, for me, is what I hear more than anything.
Purple with the accents of greens, like chartreuse greens is really in, and definitely the deep hunter greens and gold is really in, very much so.
The Pantone, for those of you probably everyone here knows, but Pantone released the 2013 color of the year, which was emerald green, and we have Wizard of Oz coming out next month, so lots of greens and golds, but as accent colors, not necessarily the primary. I'm seeing the same thing as Renee, purple as the biggest color.
We're seeing the same thing. I'm seeing purple and platinum together, which looks stunning.
This is a question for Kevin. Someone has asked, how would you define modern luxury for flowers?
Well, you don't have to use the carnations anymore, you know. That's the baby sprays. Pretty much what I'm saying to modern luxury is like, you don't have to use abundance of flowers, I say. You can actually simplify the flowers and make it minimalistic, but also at the same time, one type of flowers instead of mixing all kinds of flowers. So when you mixing flowers, it loses a touch of the beauty of the flowers. So like one kind of flower is the mass of it. I think it would make the statement and also make it modern and simple. That's where the modern luxury comes to.
Now let's talk a little bit about some of the trends that we see in LA, but not necessarily on a national level.
I see espresso bars are very popular, champagne cocktails. We've even bottled our own champagne for many, many years, which our brides love to enjoy. And we see a lot of candy buffets here, which have become the rage across the nation. And a wonderful treat that I love to talk about are Babalu berries. They're chocolate-covered strawberries, and they have their farms right here in Oxnard, California. They own 300 acres. They're literally from the farm to your front door, dipped in the most yummy flavors. And we see that on buffets all over, and I've actually seen them in layers of wedding cakes. So we see that so much here because we have the accessibility of the fresh fruits.
I'm seeing a lot of, in New York and LA, and not the rest of the country, are still people enjoying their after parties. And some of those are getting pretty large. And then also for a lot of our destination weddings in LA, we're filming, editing, producing a highlight, and then traveling back to where they originated and showing that film there and merging the two into one DVD. That's something I do a lot for people who have destination weddings in LA.
I think there's not a whole lot that we do in LA that other people don't do because we are the trendsetters, and it starts here, and then shortly thereafter it kind of filters down through the rest of the country like it does in New York as well. I think one thing that I'm seeing more of is because the destination market has grown so much, and couples want that multiple day experience, that even in-town couples here in LA are starting to do that now, where it may not be a destination wedding, but they are tacking on a Friday night welcome dinner or some sort of Sunday event that maybe is a little bit more of an event than just a casual post-brunch. So to really prolong the wedding experience throughout the weekend, even though you're staying in town.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the catering trends that we are seeing here in LA.
If you guys don't know who Peter Callahan is, follow him, look him up. He just came out with a book called Small Bites. He's actually in New York, but I think he is making the biggest splash in catering trends. He does small bites, but literally miniature foods. So Coca-Cola bottles that are 1.5 inches tall, mini Patron bottles with a straw in them, and a tiny taco that's 1 inch big, and things that really are all about presentation as well as flavor and food.
We're seeing a lot of more casual weddings, like you said, small bites where you can stroll around the room or move around the room without sitting at a formal dinner. We're seeing stations with tapas and small bites, so guests get to mingle and get to know each other with furniture, vignettes sitting in different corners of the room as opposed to your formal sit-down dinner.
Let's talk about some of your favorite weddings that have taken place here in LA.
Yeah. I had a wedding a few weeks ago for the ex-bass player from Van Halen, Michael Anthony. We did his daughter's wedding at Terranea, and it was rock and roll wedding heaven. They're rock and roll wedding heaven. All these rock and roll greats just tore it loose. And a lot of times when we do a celebrity event, there's a non-disclosure. They didn't ask for one, and we did a same-day edit where we had it online before the wedding was over. The family was tweeting it. That was my favorite recent one.
What we do weddings with celebrities, try to away from all the paparazzis. Yeah, they try to away from them and try to hide what's going on. That's the key of the weddings, I see.
We've done weddings where we've hired paparazzi. Free to Hollywood.
And the real celebrities trying to get away from them.
That's true. The real celebrities try and get away from it. Kevin and I are working on a wedding now, an American Idol alumni couple, and they are actually doing step and repeats at their wedding with their custom designed logo that we did for them, because they want their guests to feel the experience that they always feel. And that wedding will be at the Luxe Hotel on Sunset.
I would say I don't have any favorites. In terms of most memorable, for me was probably working on the Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes wedding, just because it was such, there was so much energy and fever around it, and so much excitement. And at the time, it was all positive. And it was really, it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience just to kind of go through that, and it was a lot of fun. And I felt like we actually were part of something bigger than just one day. I also have a cousin's wedding coming up this summer, and I love family weddings. So,
Now, John, do you want to talk about maybe some of the wedding videography trends that are taking place?
Yeah, filming in color is really big this year. I'm kidding. We are having a lot of fun doing concept films where we produce funny episodes about how the couple met. I've gone back to a Starbucks in Phoenix. I've gone to the streets of New Orleans. We've gone to bars where they first met, just doing crazy stuff. So producing films to play at the event are pretty big. Not so much the old-fashioned slideshow of pictures of them growing up for 30 minutes, but something entertaining to watch and comical. And then the same-day edits. And we're giving a lot of our couples camcorders to take on their honeymoon. And we'll edit a highlight together. And I'll tell you later some of the stories of things we've seen on the film. But it's just like, the honeymoon is just like the best part of the whole process. They're in paradise with somebody they love. They don't have any work decisions to make. And what I like to think I sell people is time travel, allowing them to go back to that time in their life.
Now let's kind of talk about how, as wedding professionals, you are using social media to promote your business.
it probably takes up 2 days of our work week when you compile it all together. The Bridal Bar uses basically every platform out there: Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, blog. We have 2 blogs. We post 5 days a week, so we've got 10 posts that have to go up every single week, and then we have to market those posts, so running them through Pinterest, running them through Twitter's, Facebook. We also use something that isn't as commonly known, called Wedding Gawker, which, don't put this on Twitter. We don't want too many people using it now. Wedding Gawker is, for how many people know what Wedding Gawker is? Okay, so for those of you that do blog, you upload a single image from your blog post to Wedding Gawker for approval, and they look at certain qualities of photography. It can be rejected. You can resubmit a different photo from that post, and you give it a description and tags and things like that, and they have a huge amount of traffic. So people go on Wedding Gawker to get ideas, look for purple weddings, anything like that. And if you've got a purple wedding post that you've run through Wedding Gawker, people are going to find it and come back to your original blog post at it. So that's something that we do that we found has been really effective to growing our blog traffic, and I don't think a lot of people know about.
I'm a big Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest buff also. I love it. I write a blog for the Huffington Post Weddings, and I get great reaction from that, and people seem to really respond. And I like to be a contributing writer to different bridal magazines, and I'm a celebrity writer for Beautiful Bride magazine and several other publications, and I find that people respond when you are a wisdom source. So rather for me than to constantly put pictures up, I find being a wisdom source brings me much more communication, and it opens more doors for me personally.
Facebook's worked out really good for me. We'll do the same day edit at the wedding, and we'll post it on Facebook before the wedding's over, and we'll go tag our wedding party and as many of the guests that we can on Facebook. And so I have over 4,000 friends. Most of my clients have 300 to 500. Every time I post, all my friends can see, have access to seeing it. But every time one of the guests posts, "Oh, this is fun, we really liked it, how fun," all those people are seeing it. I had a bride email me from her honeymoon in Tahiti in one of those huts over the water, asking me how to tag friends on Facebook for the video I posted. So I sent her a paragraph telling her how to do it. she emails me an hour later saying Facebook says she exceeded her maximum number of tags. I didn't even know there was a maximum number. But everybody she's tagging is seeing our work. So that's how social media is helping us get publicity.
Now, let's talk about social media and the proper etiquette that we should use social media for the wedding day. I know this has been a very important discussion at our previous chats in other cities.
Don't tweet something that a guest hasn't seen yet. You know, you guys have fans and followers, and if you just did this really awesome place card display and you tweet it and wedding guests or family of the bride is following you on Twitter, you just sort of ruined that surprise. So keep that to a minimum. I also think just tweeting less and Facebooking less at weddings is really important. I think for a lot of companies it's gotten a little rampant. And we're there being paid to work for this family on the wedding day, and we can't forget that. Obviously, we take breaks and things like that. But I think it's really important to not cross that line and be really respectful of the family's time and investment that they're making with you. And remember that you're not just there to promote your business on the wedding day.
I feel that if you're a guest at the wedding and should be participating or listening, you shouldn't be tweeting or doing Facebook at that time.
I've seen couples kind of opposite ends of the spectrum where some will create a hashtag for their wedding so that encourages people to Instagram and things like that for people to follow along with. And on the flip side, now not just celebrities but average couples are starting to have phone checks and things like that. So if you do need your phone, you've got kids at home, you can go out to the reception and check your phone, but they're wanting it to be a tweet-free zone and a cell phone-free zone on the wedding day.
Now, what types of apps or technology do you see brides using to help with their wedding?
I love Appy Couple. Appy Couple is a new wedding website. Not new. It's in beta. It's been around for about a year. It's another wedding website opportunity for couples to build their wedding website, but it comes with an app. So when you buy the website, you also get the app. So guests can download the app into their smartphones and get up-to-date information, weather reports for the wedding day, any update. Okay, we've added a welcome barbecue, something to that effect, where they're registered. You can actually not just get the information, but it's got functionality to it. So you can download the app and purchase gifts from their registry through the app, and it's sort of one-stop shopping. And Bridal Bar is coming out with new apps with them, so stay tuned for that. I really like them. I also love Newlywish. Does anybody know what Newlywish is? It's coming to the West Coast sometime in the next, I would say, 60 days. Right now it's only on the East Coast. But it's wedding registry for small businesses. So I think this is really great for our industry to know about because it supports our small businesses. Basically, you can register for anything local through any of their partners. So you don't go on Newlywish to find, the Williams-Sonoma KitchenAid product. You go on Newlywish to find that really awesome furniture store on Abbot Kinney in Venice that doesn't have a really cumbersome website and doesn't have registry functionality. Newlywish runs their products through their functionality. So you can get things like Jones on Third gift baskets through your registry, and all local. It supports our local communities, so I really like what they're doing.
Well, let's talk about what is unique about the wedding industry in LA.
Los Angeles has always been a hub for new talent. And I think across the spectrum in every wedding industry related business, we have so much emerging young talent that we can really draw on that and set the trends from that point of origin.
Yeah, in LA you can find vendors of any skill level, any budget. But there's something people don't think about when they're planning destination weddings sometimes. I've done 6 weddings in Cancun the last 2 years, and it's amazing how many of those brides thought they were going to have a sunset wedding on the East Coast. They weren't thinking that the sun doesn't set over the ocean, it rises over the ocean when it's facing east. So if you want a sunset wedding, you got to come to the left coast.
Yeah.
What do you think was the best celebrity wedding that took place in LA of all the weddings?
I'll say Kendra and Hank because we got to help with it. So did Kevin. And it was at the Playboy Mansion. It was the only wedding that's taken place there that wasn't one of Hef's. And I know Kevin and I were both there, and it was quite a unique experience to have that kind of all access behind the mansion. So for me, that was the coolest because I got to cruise the mansion for a day.
Well, actually, Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston wedding was, to me, was most spectacular wedding that I can't even think of any other weddings can be even better than that, because it wasn't the Malibu area, had fireworks, and it was like 2-acre lots with fabulous tents, and it was just over the top, and it was actually a dream come true kind of weddings. It was really Hollywood legends wedding. It was a really spectacular.
I agree with Kevin. I think that Brad and Jennifer's wedding was amazing, and I just wish more of those amazing weddings, that the marriages would last longer.
Now, as far as wedding traditions, are there some things that we are seeing things that have go away, or maybe some new traditions that we're seeing, even nationally?
I think tradition's back finally, and I'm excited about that. I love what the wedding day really represents and what it's all about. And I think that, for a few years, couples shied away from the big traditional wedding and a lot of the traditions that go with it. And now, just in terms of going back to that father of the bride era wedding, they're going back to old school and things that really matter to their family, to their faith, and keeping it placing a high amount of value on a tradition versus on a decor item.
And I want to speak harmony to what you said about Father of the Bride. That's where Kevin and I first met when we worked on the movie together. And Kevin, of course, is the prototype for the Franck character, and I did all the wedding gown and all the bridal party wedding wear that you see in the movie. I actually created in my salon, and I have a cameo appearance. So we believe in roots and down-home tradition.
Millennials do it a little differently, and that's the couple that's getting married. I very much believe that they are sticking to tradition, but they're also creating their own traditions. We just had a couple that at their ceremony altar did a time capsule, and I've seen that across a few wedding blogs, and I think that things like that are going to start taking shape in the next couple of years, where this particular couple had a love of wine together, and so they had a wine box. During their ceremony, they put the wine in the box, and they put notes to each other in the box, and then together they hammered the box shut, and at their 10-year anniversary they will unbury the box and celebrate and drink the wine and read each other's notes. So tradition is definitely back, but that doesn't mean you can't come up with your own spin to it or additional layer to it.
So why don't we kind of talk about what you would like to finalize, what you want everyone here to remember about our discussion today?
I would say just don't be intimidated by the saturated market and by the big guns. I think the wedding business it's really like Small Business Saturday all year round, every Saturday. And so just remind yourselves of that, and don't be overwhelmed by the 14 different social media sites you should be on and learning every single thing you have to learn to keep up with the masses. Don't be intimidated and just kind of jump in. Everything I've learned about social media, I've learned from things like this and from following people like Think Splendid online. And there's enough resources out there to do a few of them really well and really leverage what you're doing as a small business. And couples want to support small businesses, so show them that you're out there.
The networking opportunities are so critical, because if people don't see you, they don't always think about you. And there is no better spokesperson for yourself than yourself. So you need to really be seen and be heard and join the action. And then you can share clientele and network with one another, and the best is yet to come.
Both of you are making me think about professional development as well. And that is something that's kind of unique to the LA market. There are so many professional groups. I am the state coordinator for the Association of Bridal Consultants, and in California we had 60 meetings alone last year for professional development, and there are a lot of other great groups in California too.
And we will be networking, continue to eat, and meet and greet other people. Thank you so much.
That's a wrap.
This Wedding Market Chat is sponsored by Luxe Hotel, the Wedding and Event Institute, House Entertainment, Emma and Josh, and Beverly Hills Luxury Motors. Send your questions and follow the Wedding Market Chat every Wednesday on Twitter. Check out the Wedding Market on the web at weddingmarketnews.com.